All right, what is up, everybody? We are live, and just whatever you guys want to talk about, jump in there. The big stories so far, NASCAR, the ratings or whatever. Sorry, I just got back from the track not too long ago. Kind of wore out, so work with me here. The NASCAR ratings, though, are up significantly, up 10% this race. This is the first race under, I think Card put it in there. This is the first race under 4 million viewers, but still up 10% from last year. So all the ratings for NASCAR have been up, and the attendance, even though you got to remember, even though the attendance looks sparse at Bristol Motor Speedway, that was still 146,000 people. Bristol Speedway it's just got a lot of seats. So even though it looked kind of spread out, that was 146,000 people in there. So even the attendance, I feel like, is up pretty good. We do have a poll question because the bigger story still remains the tires. So would you rather keep the poll question is, would you rather keep tire fall off and have more tires, have tire fall offs but run more laps, harder tires with no fall off so that you're basically running qualifying laps every race? It wouldn't let me put all that in there. So I had to settle for that. Or you don't care. Just pass the fireball, take the shots, drink responsibly, and have a good time. Those are the options. So the poll question is up there. Get those votes in if you want to. But NASCAR did have a response, and I'm getting this via J-Ski. I think they're quoting somebody at Racer Magazine. But this is from J-Ski. They said NASCAR's initial reaction after the Cup Series race at the Bristol Motor Speedway was there was no need to mess with a good thing. Cup Series teams found that in a tire battle in the Food City 500 due to rapid wear and cording, it resulted in a tire management race by both the drivers and the race teams. And NASCAR approving Goodyear to release the extra set in the second stage. In the end, the race produced a track record 54 lead changes and tied a record of 16 different leaders. I know the tire allotment. We actually removed a set of tires from the fall race coming into this race. That's on us, not Goodyear. NASCAR Chief Racing Development Officer John Probst said when addressing the media less than 2 hours after the checkered flag. So we actually gave that back during the race, as you guys saw. We'll go back and look at it. There were times in the race, obviously, there was anxiety around having enough tires to finish it. But, man, coming out at the end and watching all that, I would not want that to change much at all. Honestly, just maybe give them more tires in the fall. So NASCAR is leaning toward more tires. It was certainly a record-setting day for us. Probst said, I know the race teams are probably getting pretty wore out right now. I know our track crew and folks up in the booth are pretty wore out just from a pretty exciting day. All of the track certainly had some anxiety around the track tire wear. Certainly had some anxiety around some tire wear and things like that. All in all, I think it was pretty much one of the best short track races I have ever seen. That was via J-Ski, via Racer, I want to say. So that's what inspired the poll question, because it still just continues to be the hot topic. So jump in there and get your votes in on that. And I'm just going to go through the comments and see what you guys think. Wise guy saying, honestly, the tire and package was fine. Bristol was a great race. I think it was a good race, too. A lot of people that weren't necessarily used to maybe watching short track racing where guys have to conserve their tires. Maybe they weren't used to looking at that type of thing. I know some of the drivers even, and here's the thing, like a lot of people are dumping on Kyle Larson. He jumped out of the car after the race and gave his opinion, and I think Brian Blaney had a negative opinion about it too. But then I think once they had cooled down, like you ask a driver after a race and they haven't won the race, they're pretty much going to be, not in the most positive move. I know William Byron and Kyle Busch just exited the track. They didn't talk to anybody. So right after the race, not always the best time to get somebody's opinion on it. But Kyle Larson today said he actually liked the racing, so he flip-flopped on it. Caught some flack the day before on his comments and flip-flopped on it today. So I think even most of the drivers enjoyed the racing, regardless of their comments, maybe right after the race. Taking Reddick for COTA, says one wise guy. What's up, Duke Chronic? Good to see you on here. Man, I was there at the end and it was awesome, says Appalachia Dogs 80. Yeah, I think overall the vast majority of people liked it. I think it was like maybe 87 or 88% liked it, and 12% didn't like it. on Jeff Gluck's poll. So I think a lot of people like the racing. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like it. This is racing, so everybody has their style of racing that they prefer, and some people do want to see them just go out there and lay down qualifying laps every race. And that's why I put the poll question up, because it'll be interesting to see, sort of where it falls there. TJ Mooreshed, the poll question, by the way, is: would you rather keep tire fall off and have more tires, tire fall off but run more laps, harder tires, run hard but no fall off, don't care, pass, the fireball? Those are the options. And right now, keep the tire fall off but have more tires is at 46%, leading the way. Potentially going to my first Richmond Cup race in 2 weeks. I hope they bring a similar package. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Richmond is actually a really fun track to go to. It's one of my favorite tracks. It used to put on some of the absolute best racing when they had paved it not too long ago. Not a lot of people remember that. A lot of people remember current Richmond, where it doesn't put on, I guess, some of the greatest races in a lot of people's opinion. But still one of my favorite racetracks. I remember the first race I went up there was like an Xfinity race. It was back when they were still doing the rock and roll, Chevy rock and roll Richmond race. And got to see Big and Rich perform live there. And they put on a really good live show. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like Big and Rich, but I'm telling you, man, they put on a really good live show. They had Cowboy Troy, Gretchen Wilson, 3-foot Fred. I don't know. The shorter guy, he was there with them. So Richmond is a pretty good race. I think you'll enjoy it. Old car, and it was back in the day when they had the big pavilion where you could do the Army rock climb and all that stuff. So it was a really good thing. They had the simulator there. So Richmond's a good place to enjoy a race. Haven't been there since probably close to a decade now. Let's see. Old car, they had tires with multi-compound tires, just make the outside tougher, says Duke Chronic. I think the one thing, and Kyle Larson was mentioning, he didn't mind the tire fall off, but he wished the tires had laid more rubber on the track so that the groove moved up. So he wanted the grooves to be moving around. So I guess that was his real comment on it even today. But he did say he did like the racing. Did all the teams end up using that extra set? I don't think anybody had a set left over, wise guys. So I would have to say they probably used all that they had. So that was probably the last set of tires they had at the end of the race there. I'm guessing. Was the tire just right for Bristol or a little too extreme? Maybe it would be better next time since the teams would be ready for it. Is keeping the tire the best choice as an Napa Racing fan? So that's a good point. I think you're all over it right there. I think now that the teams know the tire compound and they know how it's going to wear, I think that they will extend the tire life if they go back and keep the same tire. The teams will use a much less aggressive setup and the tires will last longer. You'll still have the fall off, but they'll figure out how to make the tires last longer with a less aggressive setup. They'll set it for a much longer run. Also, Marty Robbins, LOL, says Bumblebee, never going to be another racetrack like I missed the Marty Robbins reference there. But yeah, Marty Robbins is the man. Had some really interesting paint schemes back in the day. Never going to be another a race like the past weekend because the track will be altered, says Mark Barnum. I don't know about the track being altered, but I know the teams will prepare for it. I think we'll still see the tire fall off, but I think the teams will prepare for it, and you'll see them run longer laps, even though you will still have some fall off. You just might see the fall off come later in the run on some guys. 500 laps on an oval is 2,000 turns, says Duke Chronic. That's true. That's true. And even more than that, if your car is not handling well, because you got some of that going on. PJ1 or different resin. It was a different resin, so that was part of it. They weren't using PJ1 for whatever reason. They're trying to get away from the PJ1. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it costs too much or whatever. BD, will SVG do good this weekend? I would have to say he's going to be on it for sure. If I had to guess, it's on teams to manage tires. The car setups teams could have and would have, should have not pitted after 10 laps on tires. Modified guys have to manage their tires for over 100 laps at a time. No extra tires, says COTA. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about with the local short track stuff. We're kind of used to seeing it because you don't get a set of tires. And even when you run twin 75s or whatever to get to your 125 laps at places like South Boston, you still have to manage your tires. And you'll see some people play a game over there where they'll give up a little bit of speed in the first race to have some speed for the second race. So it's really hard for somebody to sweep an event. Although last year Carter Langley and I think Peyton Sellers did it over there at South Boston. I feel like I have a feeling Ryan Blaney and Ross Chastain will fight this season. LOL. Yeah, Ryan Blaney, he does not care for the questions about Ross Chastain. That's something I didn't get a chance to cover, even though I've shared the clip. Ryan Blaney in that clip that I shared, he's asked about Ross Chastain there, and he said, "I'm tired of you asking me about Ross Chastain. I don't feel like answering it," and he just walks off. So he totally ghosted him there on that one. Let's see here. Dinger is fielding a unannounced open car for COTA. Brett Griffin announced on door bumper clear. So I had a feeling that something like that would happen. So I'm glad they're doing that because that gives them the most. The best drivers, and they're really good at our road courses, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So that gives them their best shot of getting a win there. So I'm happy for that because AJ Allmendinger, no slouch at road courses, and good. Him and SVG, that's going to be the interesting bet. I can already see, BetMGM and DraftKings and all that. I can already see them putting it up. AJ Allmendinger head to head versus SVG. Who's going to finish in front of who? I can already see that prop bet going up. So that's going to be interesting. Was disappointed Logano didn't put John Hunter Nemechek in the wall. He had a few chances to teach him a lesson, says Bruce. Maybe he's holding it off for maybe in his mind a better time to do it. Currently, Joey Logano is still 30-something in points. I'm not exactly sure where he's at in points, but he's not up there in points. So maybe he's choosing Valor is the better discretion or whatever it's called, better part of discretion at right now, and maybe he'll save that payback for later. This wasn't a 2008 Brickyard 400. The race was way better, but the unexpected severe tire wear is similar, but not the quality of the race itself, says Napa Racing fan. I agree. The 2008 deal was a lot more severe, and I think people, when they first saw it, they sort of got scared by it. They're like, "Oh my God, not another 2008." But as the race went on, the teams adjusted and adapted to it, and were able to overcome it here. I have Michael McDowell at COTA this weekend, says Peter. Hey, that's a good pick. Another one that nobody you have to add at this point Michael McDowell to Christopher Bell as guys that never get talked about, but they just get the job done day in and day out. And Michael McDowell and Front Row Motorsports have grown together, and that team is rolling. So yeah, Michael McDowell, never a bad pick at any road course either. I like the pick. Surprised the drivers growing up on dirt couldn't grasp what was happening. Slow down to go fast, says Brickyard Brickhead. I don't know. I'm not. I can't sit here and act like I'm an expert on dirt by any stretch of the imagination. But I know for a fact that short track racing, concrete pavements, short track racing, we definitely have to save our tires till the end. A lot of people play that strategy, and then some guys just nail the setup, and it doesn't matter. They can go out there and just lap after lap, just be really fast. It's all in how you hit that setup and how the setup plays out for you. It's like playing NASCAR Heat with tire wear on ×4. Says like dislike. Yeah, I can see that. So I see where you're coming from. Last memorable moments at Richmond was Edwards wrecking Busch on the final lap to win in 2016. So that was Napa's favorite last Richmond race, or last favorite Richmond race, I should say. Yeah, they've had some bangers, man. Kevin Harvick and Ricky Rudd put on some bangers there in the early 2000s. Robbie Gordon won a race one time when I was there in the Xfinity Series. I think he was driving for Braun. I think it was Braun Racing back in the day. I had the Fruit of the Looms or something like that was the sponsor of his car. I might be wrong about that, but somebody can look that one up. But I think he won for Braun Motorsports at one of the Richmond events I went to. John Hunter Nemechek, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That's interesting. In between the lanes, that's interesting. It's interesting how he got there. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about it. So he's doing his thing. His team are doing their thing. I don't know. So he I guess he did it with shorts. I don't know. I don't understand because it doesn't seem like he gets like a ton of views with 1 million subscribers, but maybe he does on shorts. I haven't looked at it in a while. Somebody brought that up to me a while back, I want to say, and asked if they thought he bought the channel with or he bought the subscribers. Like, I don't know. All that stuff is so far beyond me because I've never thought about doing it, but maybe. I know that one IndyCar guy got in trouble for it, but I don't know. Maybe somebody smarter than me can go and investigate it. But yeah, he's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and that should help him. That should help him 100%. Get more sponsors and stuff like that. So it's really his team's doing a good job. However, they got that done over there. So good on him. I got no problem with it. I've said multiple times what Haley Deegan is doing is really smart. What Tony Breitinger is doing is really smart, getting that strong following because that's going to help you get sponsors. Landon Huffman in late models, really smart what they're doing. I think it's a strategy going forward for people to get sponsors. So I like what they're doing. So I'm never going to downgrade it. But yeah, I've seen a few people critical of how he got that million. I have no idea. I have no idea how he got the million. So that's somebody else can investigate that one. BB, have you ever tried the new Sierra Nevada Cosmic little thing? IPA, says OJ and toothpaste. I have tried it. It is really good. And the correct kind of sticky stuff on the racetrack, says Sonny V. So he wants the PJ1 back on there. Bruce saying what's up to AJ, and Bumblebee saying what's up to OJ as well. Let's see. Yeah, Cosmic little thing is I would put that around like maybe my third favorite. My favorite is Torpedo by Sierra Nevada. Should there be a short track swing in the spring, Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond, all in a row, or spread them out during how close they are to each other? I could see it going either way. So if you do that, I would like to see NASCAR. It could almost be like a season in video games. Like in video games, you have a season that usually lasts about a month, where you do all your short tracks 1 month. You could do all your super speedways because they put basically two super speedways at the beginning. Like do all your super speedways, do all your regular speedways, then do all your short tracks, then do all your road courses. You could do it like month by month. Or the more intelligent thing would be like, hey, all these tracks are together. Do the North Carolina, Virginia region here, do the Texas region here, because it makes no sense to go to COTA today. Then you come back to Virginia for 2 races. Then you go back to Texas. Maybe go Texas, Virginia. All kinds of different ways you could move it around. I was trying to say give a tire that'll last 80 to 90 laps instead of 45, and that'd be a solid solution and better tire management. I agree with you. I think that is probably the best answer. I know it might not be the most popular pick in the comments or in the poll question or whatever, but I think that's the best answer. And I think the tire that they have, they can probably get to 80 laps with now that the teams know what's coming. If not, Goodyear adds a little bit to that particular compound to get it to 80 to 90 laps. And I do think that's the best answer for that Bristol tire. So I want to see the tire fall off, but I do want to see the tire last longer. So I do think that's probably the better answer for the Bristol deal, but that's just I didn't want to sway the opinion of the poll at first. But yeah, I agree with you, B, on that one. I would like to see the tire last longer, and I think the teams will get it there now that they know what they're dealing with, and still have the fall off. I think that would be the best of both worlds. On Earth 2 this weekend, they will be racing COTA the opposite way. Yeah, they will be racing the COTA Oval on Earth 2 backwards, making right-hand turns. Please give BB thumbs up. Helps with the rating. So yeah, if you want to give the thumbs up, it would be much appreciated. They moved the restart area to after turn 1 this weekend. Yeah, I think that's probably a smart idea. That way you don't have I don't know what the issue was, if they had people just going in there and dive bombing last race. I can't remember exactly what the issue was, but they did want to move it back, and I understand that this is probably a smart move for them to do it. I can't exactly remember what the issue was last year, but I think it was people like going in there and dive bombing. So hopefully they get rid of that. You'll still have to wear it, but it won't be as drastic a fall off, but it will still be a good show. Yeah, I'm right there with you, B. I think a little bit longer run on it. Like they were getting about 40 laps out of this one. I think somebody stretched it 70 at the last pit stop. Who was it? Anyway, the last pit stop, somebody was able to stretch 70 laps out of their tires, so they did get it to 70 with that current deal, and that's what I'm saying. Now that they know this and they can come back with a different setup, I think even with that current tire, they can do it. I think it just caught them off guard, so we'll have to see how that plays out. The other thing that doesn't really get mentioned is if we had a proper amount of practice like we did back in the day, the teams probably would have caught this and made the adjustments on the fly, and we might not have even seen a tire issue. So that is the other thing that needs to be thrown out there. Maybe have a longer practice. So I feel like that's a fair statement to make and say. They found PJ1 is slippery when wet and with a chance of rain at Bristol. Resin it was. Okay, so that's the issue with PJ1. When it does rain, the PJ1 stays slippery and it doesn't activate or whatever. So I can see that. I'm not a super big expert on materials and stuff like that, so I'm not familiar with PJ1 versus resin. But I know a lot of people were complaining about the resin as much as the tires, so that could be the reason. They'll try maybe either PJ1 again or try something different other than the resin they had, maybe a different resin. The more appropriate question is which Toyota Cup driver will win this weekend, says Jamie Schweitzer. So, yeah, Toyota on a roll on the short tracks, and this is a short track package with COTA. So if Toyota still has the deal figured out with that, here's what and this is where I thought the Ford is really going to stand out. I'm expecting the Fords to actually have an advantage with the way that those fenders are raised up at a road course. So I'm just going to go ahead and tease it now, but this is actually going to be factoring into my picks for the weekend. I think there's going to be a Ford driver that wins this race because I think on a road course, the way that those Ford fenders are angled like that, I think that's going to be an advantage for them. So I think they're actually going to outrun everybody, but I could be totally wrong. It's just me taking a guess on the very limited aerodynamic knowledge that I have. Ty Gibbs' first win in Xfinity in his first Xfinity start was the Daytona road course in 2021. First Cup win could definitely be on a road course this Sunday, says Napa Race Fan. Yeah, never sleep on Ty Gibbs. I know a lot of people don't like him. I don't have that problem. I like the guy. But he really does get it done at short tracks and road courses. Those are really like his bread and butter. I know mile and a halfs are Joe Gibbs' kind of bread and butter, or they were in the Xfinity Series. But where I really see him excel was on short tracks and road courses. So don't sleep on Ty Gibbs on road courses or Martinsville. I wouldn't sleep on him at Martinsville either. Ryan Blaney cares about saving money at Menards. He does. Save big money when you shop Menards with Ryan Blaney. Ryan gets the Ross questions because of last year's final. Yeah, because they play. It's one of those catch-22s. Everybody wants to hear the audio, but then they played the audio, so now everybody knows how Ryan Blaney. If you've ever listened to Ryan Blaney's in-car audio, like that's how he sounds all the time. It wasn't just Ross Chastain. If you listen to his in-car audio, he's always angry at somebody. He's the most miserable guy inside of a race car. And some people, that's how they're great. Inside of a race car, they just sound absolutely miserable. But they love doing it. And as soon as they get out of the race car, the monster has subsided, and they're good to go again. So I don't think he has necessarily the biggest. I'm not going to say he's in love with Ross Chastain, but I think they've overblown the beef. Much like they overblew the beef with Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain as well. I think once Denny Hamlin had made his comments, he was sort of pot committed and had to do something type situation. But that's always been my opinion on it. That and Denny Hamlin likes to milk drama to pump up, his brand. He likes to keep his name out there. He likes to keep his podcast out there. He likes to keep 2311 in the news cycle. So that was part of the Ross Chastain deal too. Make no mistake about it. Denny Hamlin is smart like that because keeping your name in the news cycle like that, those impressions and stuff like that, those are things that sponsors look at too. So Denny Hamlin playing the long game on stuff like that as well. Wouldn't having a couple of practice sessions solve this problem and probably a few more for the team, says Brickyard Brickhead. For sure, you probably typed it before I said it, but 100%, I'm in agreement with you. If they went back to an old type of practice, we hardly ever saw this when they had multiple practice sessions. The one exception being Indianapolis in 2008, but other than that, we never saw this, and that's because teams would go out here and at least one guy would make a long run, and when he made that long run, you would see those tires. You would have seen those tires cord and stuff like that, and people, race teams would have made their adjustments to that tire. AJ and SVG says Duke Chronic. Yep, that's going to be super cool. And I can already see the prop bet. That might be the next poll question if we have time to do another one here. Current poll question at 49 votes. 49% saying keep the tire fall off and have more tires. Tire fall off, but they're able to run more laps on the tires. Harder tires. Run hard with no fall off and don't care past the fireball at 8%, 12% on the previous one. And then run more laps is at 31%, but 49% and running away with it is keep tire fall off, but have more tires. So go ahead and get your vote on that one. And then I will throw up the next poll question. Let's see. Which teams would go to Honda if they were the next manufacturer? I think it would be Spire and Trackhouse, because then, or you could do Colleague, Spire, Trackhouse, and all three like that. So what you would do with those extra charters, that would give 4 charters to Trackhouse. That's 4 Hondas over there at Trackhouse. If Spire does it, that gives you another charter. Spire's got 2 charters. They would have 3 charters. And then if Colleague came with them, that would be 3 charters too, because Colleague already has 2. Colleague could get another charter, or Spire gets 2 charters. Colleague stays at 2 charters. Either way, that gives you about 10 race cars, right? That gives you about 10 race cars for Honda. So I could see that being the route that Honda would go. I think that is the best scenario for Honda right there, unless they could somehow figure out to get like an RCR, a Joe Gibbs, or like do something insane and get like something that somebody's not thinking about, But I don't see Hendrick. I don't see Joe Gibbs. I don't see Penske might. You might could convince Roger Penske, but you'd have to convince one of those really big teams. I just don't see that happening. But I could see them convincing a Trackhouse. So that's why I'm big on Trackhouse, and it would just make sense for them, especially if you look at all the drivers Trackhouse has, and they have to find a seat for them. The Young Bucks were too busy freaking out with high anxiety, while the vets. Oh, was that the one I was reading? So I think what he was trying to say was the young fellas sort of wigged out. They weren't used to it, and the veterans came through because they were used to tire wear. I think that's what Ken was trying to say. So I do agree with that. Some of the younger guys hadn't seen stuff like that before, and they didn't know how to adjust to it. I feel like Logano in the 22 threw the race away, going for stage points, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, there was a lot of strategy in this one. A lot of strategy. Is the day of team, and that might have bit them for sure. I was agreeing with you. Is the day of teams running road course ringers a thing of the past, says Bruce? I don't think so, because you got Kobayashi in this one. You got SVG, and you've got AJ Allmendinger, if you want to consider AJ Allmendinger a ringer anymore. So I don't know. I don't know. It seems like they're doing more of them, and I think Boris Said's going to get a run, maybe an Xfinity sometime this year too. Dinger, SVG, Reddick are the ones I'll be watching. Says one wise guy. Yeah, I'm with you. I throw Chase Elliott in there as well. Michael McDowell. There's a few more, a handful more. Daniel Suarez, Ross Chastain. Ford is RCR had some strong road course cars at one time, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Ford is due for a win at COTA. Might be it, says Duke Chronic. SVG, let's go, says Dogfish. Let's see. Bubba wins his first road course this weekend. James Foray with a wild pick. That is really going off script. Bubba Wallace, not necessarily. He does have one top 5, I want to say, but not necessarily known as a road course racer. Maybe he worked on it in the off season. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's an aggressive pick. I like it. I like going big or going home. So I like the pick. Is SVG running Xfinity and Cup? I think he is running both. I think AJ Allmendinger is running both as well. Tires in Indy 08 range was 25 miles, 10 laps. Bristol range was 20 laps, 20 miles, about 40 laps. Says like, dislike. So yeah, almost a doubling of the distance there. So yeah, not nearly as bad as that horrendous race over there in 08. What if SVG sweeps the weekend at COTA? NASCAR would lose their minds. I think a lot of people would lose their minds in a good way, like in an absolute good way. So I think that would be a fun deal. Richmond and Martinsville need the tire wear more than Bristol did. They need to actually lay rubber down at those places, though. Iowa will be interesting. So yeah, that's the big thing. And Napa Race Fan, that's exactly what Kyle Larson was talking about. He doesn't mind the tire fall off. He just wished it would lay down rubber on the actual racetrack so that the groove would have to move around. So yeah, and that does make for interesting racing as well. And on your late model, on the late models, that's exactly what happens as well. James 4A, I'm a Willie B fan, but that's a bit much. Says Lovey. Deegan got another new sponsor this weekend. The car is sweet looking. Oh yeah, Cody Jinks. I think maybe is it Cody Jinks this weekend? So yeah, that'll be a cool deal. Country music singer, if I'm not mistaken. Not super familiar with his stuff, but I have heard the name before. BD, will Zane Smith win this weekend? That's a good question. On Earth 2, on Earth 2, he's crushing the game over there on Earth 2, so I'll give him credit there. SVG has one thing. Unfortunately, he's racing against Joey Logano on Earth 2. I did not expect Joey Logano to have this bad of a start to the season. Insane. But Christopher Bell had a start like this last year, I want to say, and he turned it around. So I'm expecting Joey Logano to turn it around much like C. Bell did. SVG has one thing against him this week. All the other drivers have plenty of time at COTA. Yeah, That was almost a perfect storm because it was a track nobody had seen before, and then he got in there and in a car that nobody wasn't really familiar on that surface either. So yeah, it was sort of a perfect storm, Chicago. So it won't be not that one was easy, but it won't be as easy as that one, if that makes any sense. Race was great. I was there. More tires. Let's go, says Mikey. So I think a lot of people enjoyed the race for sure. I would say the vast majority. Should Rockingham come back to the Cup schedule? Says James. Oh, that's a question. Here's the deal, man. I sat through a lot of really boring Rockingham races, live and in the cold butt weather. So I don't have this nostalgic feeling for Rockingham that a lot of other people do. But I understand a lot of people love Rockingham and want it to come back. I think if you give Rockingham a race, and North Wilkesboro also has a race, you have to take another race away from somewhere and put a race at a track where NASCAR fans don't have racing. Because I can already see the people complaining North Carolina has too many races, Virginia has too many races. I think if you add Rockingham, you need to add a race to a venue somewhere else that doesn't have a race. I think that's the only fair thing to do. But yes, I would like to see Rockingham come back, but that would be my stipulation with that. I think NASCAR sort of needs to be careful with it there. But obviously the first one would be awesome. It's going to sell out. It's all the ones after that I would worry about. But if you have a tire with this type of tire fall off, it's been repaved. But it will, because it's in the Sandhills, it's going to be abrasive pretty soon anyway. I do think you would have another tire fall off type race. So it would be sort of like a Darlington eventually after the new pave gets seasoned in. NASCAR R&D tearing down the 11 car and they find yellow fluid on the floorboards and send it to the lab. It's Denny Speed, says Duke Chronic. So yeah, I don't know if he peed this race or not. I hope not, because he had a white suit on this race. So that would be an unfortunate situation. Thoughts on Larson's and Blaney's comments after Bristol? Bowman said he liked saving tires, but might have been a little too extreme. I think that was basically what Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney were getting at. Ryan Blaney just says, I wish, Goodyear had let us know they came with a softer tire and things like that. And Kyle Larson basically tried to clarify his comments. He said he didn't hate the racing. He just, wished that it laid down rubber. So even those drivers that said negative stuff, they weren't necessarily bad-mouthing it, but they got their fair amount of criticism after the race. Rockingham should be the all-star race, says Mark Barnum. Well, in that situation, you wouldn't have to add a track because it's the all-star race. So I think I would be good with that. So that's a good happy medium as well. Those were like the company's passenger car tires in real life, says Krusty. Yes, bring back the Rock, says Napa Racing fan. Denny Hamlin back to the back-to-back years at COTA with the interstate battery colors, says in between the lanes. I do like the interstate battery colors. I know they really moved the restart zone this week, says OJ and Toothpaste. They did, and I forget what the actual reason was, but it was something about the restarts, if I'm not mistaken. Ford stretched it. Barry stretched it. So Barry's the one that went 70 laps, so that's how far I am down on this one. Let's see. BB past and present. What track did you not care for and didn't like? I just talked about it. Rockingham. It's like every time I went to Rockingham, somebody BT blew him the heck out, and usually it was Kyle Petty. BB is talking about practice. We're talking about practice in between the lanes. Rockingham was always a cheese grater on tires, a totally unique racetrack, says Napa Racing fan. What's up, Brian Biggs? What's up, Canada? Let's see. Chastain is my pick for COTA. That's a good pick. Not a lot of people talking about it, but people are forgetting that Trackhouse had the road courses on lock for a little while. Remember, that's where the whole blame Ross thing started, confrontation between Alex Bowman, Suarez, and Ross after the race, and it turned out Ross got rammed into everyone, says Dirty Death. Hey, that's 100% accurate. I'd forgotten about that because just so many people randomly hate Ross. But yeah, that was that one wasn't even his fault, and he got all the blame for it. What's up, Mr. Pearson? Good to see you on here. Sobo going to get rained out Saturday. They run in Sunday, says Krusty. They will never. I'm not going to say never, but I know as long as Kathy owned it, they were never going to run on a Sunday. That wasn't a thing that was going to happen. So I'll probably stick with that. They probably will not ever run on a Sunday. They'll just schedule it for another day. But yeah, I think it's going to get rained out as well too. So I think that's part of the decision is why we might not be we might not even be attempting it. But we'll have to see what Craig thinks after he wraps his head around what all transpired today when we were trying to figure out the car. Toyota has led 689 laps out of the last 812. It's going to be a long season, says Dirty Def. Yeah, they figured out their car faster than Ford, but I think Ford will come. There, you see the raw speed in the Ford, so I think it's there. With you bringing Rockingham back, says Delmar Kaufman. Talking about needs to add a track somewhere else that doesn't have a race, I think is what he's getting at there. So for sure, only problem with Ford, they don't have the better road course drivers. Yeah, well, they've got McDowell. Brad Keselowski can get it done. A lot of people sleep on him, but yeah, for sure. Let's see. Krusty can't allow that word. I'll get BB in trouble if he says it on a live. Says Bumblebee. So appreciate you, B. There are certain words YouTubes don't like. Well, they're okay, says Krusty. Road courses are happy. Krusty says Mark Barnum. I've never seen a Menards in my life, probably because I've been on the West Coast. I feel like they're sort of like a Midwest chain. I know they've got them in Indianapolis. That's, I think, the closest one to me, but I could be totally wrong about that. I think Indianapolis, I don't know if they've got them in West Virginia or not. That's a hard call, but I know they've got them in Indianapolis. Ryan is a bit of a female sometimes, says Bumblebee. Let's see. Should NASCAR end the dirt experiment? It was refreshing to see regular Bristol in the spring, but it would be nice to try Eldora once, at least return trucks to Eldora, says Napa Race Fan. Yeah, I think so for sure. 100%. I do like a dirt race. I just wish it was at a dirt track, and I think that's respectful. That would be the most respectful thing to do for dirt fans too, because I feel like that's what the dirt fans actually want as well. So yeah, I would love to see it at Eldora. Yes, road courses are happy. Thanks, guys, says Krusty. Now I can figure out what Krusty said, so I got you. Ross and Blaney have finished next to each other in the last 3 races. So Krusty, I guess, not necessarily a fan of road courses. He thinks road courses are stupid. Ross and Blaney have finished next to each other in the last 3 races. Yeah, so it's one of those things. Once you have a gripe with a guy, it seems like you're always racing around them. It's just the way life works. When someone irritates you and you go to the grocery store or whatever, you know you're going to see them there. It's just it's the way life works sometimes. OJ Menards are just a lumber home improvement with groceries. Says Mark Barnum, save big money at Menards. Save big money when you shop Menards, says Bumblebee. I don't know if Smoke wants them back at Eldora. Yeah, there was some type of weird thing about the contract. 11% B, but you do have to do the mail-in thing. Splitting practice and qualifying in groups is totally pointless. Happy hour and regular qualifying should finish in the same amount of time. Group qualifying, good for road courses, though, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, they definitely need at least 2 practices, because that practice and then you immediately go into qualifying. That's not for nothing. For like for real. Let's be real. So yeah, and then let them work on the car after they practice. Like, just give them some time to work on the car. So I don't know. Bones with the super chat. Appreciate you, Bones. There is the fist bump. Boom. I appreciate you. Let's see. Smoke did a 2-part video of this weekend's Gator Nationals on his YouTube channel. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So the Tony Stewart YouTube channel, it's randomly active, but when they post stuff, it's always really well done. From what I've seen, Honda be bad butt, says Krusty. They are BA. I agree with you, Krusty. I think they will come in and take it very seriously, and I think they'll do well if they come in. NASCAR still holds 4 unused charters, correct? Yep. And I think 2 of them would go, if it happens like I'm thinking it would happen, 2 of them would go to Spire and 2 of them would go to Trackhouse. Let's see. They should bring back the Quadzilla to race at road courses. I don't even remember that, Krusty. I'm going to have to look that one up. IndyCar has the thermal race this Sunday before COTA. That's going to be interesting, because that's such a it was such a controversial concept. It's going to be interesting how that plays out. Ringers are for antique washing machines. I predict the Mark Barnum with that one. I predict the 2024 All-Star race, North Wilkesboro, a non-points race, will be Ty Gibbs' first ever. Oh, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Who was it Michael Waltrip? Was his first win like his first? Even though it's like not a points paying race, I think Michael Waltrip's first win was like the All-Star race, wasn't it? Or maybe I'm remembering somebody different. Whose first race win was the All-Star race? I can't remember off the top of my head. No, Michael Waltrip won the Open is what I'm thinking about. Somebody's first win, I want to say, was the All-Star race, though. Oh, why does it escape my head? That dude can't drive a combine, says Krusty. Iowa race is in July. Guarantee the tires will lay down rubber. The track will be hot. Yeah, so temperature is what a lot of people said probably played into it as well. Chase Elliott just dropped his Napa night vision scheme for COTA, and it is fire. I haven't seen it yet, so I have to check that out when I hop off here. 34 wins this weekend. Front row looking strong, says like dislike. Never, a lot of people will, but never sleep on 34 in front row. Michael McDowell can get it done. Logano will probably have another bad finish to get stage points. Maybe a stage win, stage cautions back at road courses again. Yay, sarcastic. So, yeah, here's one of those deals. If you've got a mildly good car, you can play points. You can play points all day at a road course and just take the bigger points day overall if you don't think you've got the win. Menards must sell a lot of lumber and stuff to sponsor a series in 20 Cup Xfinity. I can tell you for sure, OJ and Toothpaste, that Menards makes a lot of money. The research I was doing for the video that I never made that I need to get back on, the richest owners in NASCAR. I also looked up some of the richest sponsors. Paul Menard's dad has done well for himself, and so has Johnny Morris at Bass Pro Shops, and we'll leave it at that. 2311, because I don't want to spoil that video, because it will eventually get made, probably in the off season this year. 2311 can probably win 6 races this season with their pit crews, and can get it if their pit crews can get it together. Menards is in a big area in the U.S. OJ. BB, will Paul Menard make NASCAR Hall of Fame or 100 top greatest drivers? Earth 2, Stone Cold, Lead Pipe Lock. I like Paul Menard. I wish he was making it on Earth 1 as well, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. Did have the big win at the Brickyard, though. Didn't care for the compounds that throw marbles and take away the racing lines, says Brickyard Brickhead. Yeah, I think a lot of drivers were on board with that, and I think that's what Kyle Larson's actual comments were about. Denny said he thought somebody peed in the mix, talking about the Goodyear tires. Yeah, so that went under the radar too. Denny Hamlin did complain about the tires too in qualifying. I want to make that clear. You think they will be back at Chicagoland in the next few years? I think so, because I think the putting on the Chicago street course race is just going to be so expensive year after year. Rewarding points for stages I'm okay with, but stage cautions do not help the racing. All they do is make the race longer with more commercials. Yeah, but they tried that, and immediately after one race, they didn't even give it 2 races. They immediately got rid of that. So there's not going to be any more of that, because all the fans that begged for it immediately went back on their word and only gave it 1 race. And as soon as NASCAR saw enough people complaining about it on Twitter, which is what NASCAR does, they said, all right, we're adding stage cautions back. So there you go. That's what happened, in my opinion. And they use the excuse that, it's because of the playoffs. We want to make it equal. Just got the kid laid down. Hey, y'all, let's all have a moment of silence for William Byron's right rear toe link. Yeah, that definitely cost him definitely a good race there for sure, I would say. As far as one Sonoma, it could happen. Says one wise guy. That's what I'm saying. Trackhouse, for a little while, they were the top dog at road courses. I still think you should present your bologna burger to Master Chef and win the competition, says OJ and Toothpaste. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. Dale said no track should be concrete. Said like dislike. Magic are up 81-45 over Charlotte. Makes it easy to take a break for the Tuesday stream, says Say Kyle. Yeah, so hopefully they don't blow that lead. That would be a pretty epic letdown there. What's up, David McSwain? Good to see you on here, my friend. Chris Buescher runs top 10 almost every road course race. Yeah, Chris Buescher's another good Ford for sure. Don't sleep on him at all. Yeah, RFK probably going to be another. They're pretty good at road courses, if I'm remembering last season correctly as well. Concrete for sidewalks. And dirt is for potatoes, says Duke Chronic. Chicago Menards, they've got one. I thought the Rick Ware Fords, thoughts on the Rick Ware Fords for the weekend, says John Garrett. They've been a lot faster. So they've been sort of hit or miss, but they've definitely been a lot faster than the Rick Ware of old. So I have to give credit where credit is due. Have a Menards distribution warehouse 25 miles from me, says Mark Barnum. Join the Discord, says One Wise Guy. There is the link right there. And if you want to buy a sweatshirt like I got right here, or a hat like I've got right here as well, there is the link for the merch store. It would be much appreciated, and it helps out the channel a whole lot. I'm not a huge dirt guy, but I thought some of the races at Bristol Dirt was entertaining. Reddick and Briscoe, before Briscoe wiped them both out, and Ben Rhodes was able to throw his car in trucks at times. Yeah, for sure. I've still got PTSD over Tyler Reddick getting taken out. So that was Chase Briscoe at his most kamikaze. I'm still not over it. I don't know if I'll ever get over it. It's one of the dumbest damn things I think I've ever seen in my life. There used to be practice all week, basically with testing. Now there's barely any testing and hardly any practice. And the other thing that we definitely need more practice for sure, Napa. The other thing that irritated me about it was Tyler Reddick didn't get mad enough, in my opinion. So like everything that could go wrong there went wrong. Yes, Michael Waltrip, first win was the All-Star race. Okay, so it was the All-Star race. Appreciate you, Napa race fan. Mikey won the All-Star in '96. There you go. It was the orange Sitco car, if I'm not mistaken. So that's cool. I actually remembered something properly. A rare moment of quality for the channel. Menards spends a lot of money on sponsorship on motorsports. ARCA and NASCAR are good for the sport. Yeah, for sure. Like without Menards, like the sport would be lesser for sure. I agree with that 100%. Mikey won passing DW and Dale Earnhardt, says Duke Chronic. Kyle Petty. So was maybe Kyle Petty the other one. His first win was the All-Star. So let's see. Maybe you like energy drinks called Ghost with Sour Patch Kids flavor. I don't think I've ever had the Ghost energy drinks. I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't say that I've ever had one off the top of my head. Michael won the Open, the All-Star race in the 21 car. Says like dislike. Are they going to have stages in Texas at COTA? I think they're having stages in this one. I think they got rid of stages maybe for one or two races last year for the road courses, and they brought them right back. Mikey won the All-Star for the Wood Brothers. IndyCar has an odd format for the $1 million challenge. I'd rather have another points race, but adding a race isn't a bad thing regardless, says Napa Race fan. Yeah, it is interesting. So it's one that I might actually check out. So that'll be anytime that there's a gimmick race, you have to check it out to see if the gimmick's any good. I want to see those documentaries, says One Wise Guy. That one was more of a list, so I don't know if that would fall under the documentary type stuff that I'm trying to do. And we're using the word, it's a YouTube documentary, so we're using that word loosely. I'm definitely not Brock Beard. The racing was good, but I am trying to get good, bro. So I am trying to get those videos to be better. The racing was good at Bristol, but a lot of the same guys were running up front at Phoenix. But the old Toyota guys outdrove the young Toyota guys. Gibbs and RFK and Blaney looked like they had the best mechanical grip. Menards sponsored Tony Stewart's years in IndyCar. They also sponsored him for Dale Jr. He drove a Dale Jr. car, like a bright orange Menards car for Chance 2 Motorsports or something like that. Or maybe it was Martin Truex, one or the other. David McSwain saying, what a race, need a little better time. Management of equipment. Let's hear it for the old guys for sure. It played into the veterans' hands there because they knew how to save tires. And definitely, I thought it was a good race too. I think the vast majority of people liked it. I think Chicagoland returns in 2025 and replaces the Chicago streets, says Napa Race fan. There's a good chance. It just depends on where NASCAR wants to spend their money because I know that's another really expensive race. I personally don't think Chevy is that good of a manufacturer. They just have a lot of cars on track because if you notice, they have 3, maybe 4 competitive teams, says Lovey Barkley. Yeah, I mean, Trackhouse has been a godsend for Chevrolet. RCR has gotten back on the ball, especially with Kyle Busch. But basically, Chevrolet is Rick Hendrick, and Toyota for the longest time has been Joe Gibbs Racing. So you can say that for any manufacturer. Ford is the one that sort of they didn't have a strong manufacturer until they got Penske sort of locked up. So Ford was sort of floating around. They were, Yates was their main team for a while, but then when Yates went away, Ford was sort of searching for that main team for a while because RFK went into a downward spiral as well. But now that they've got RFK and Penske, RFK back where they need to be, and Penske back being strong, and Front Row Motorsports on the rise up. And then there was Stuart Haas for a few years, but looks like Stuart Haas is going to leave them. I don't forget Briscoe sideswiping Larson at the 2022 Coke 600 for the lead, for the win. Also, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, I mean, Chase Briscoe going to chase Briscoe, but even that wasn't as egregious as the move that was never going to work on dirt, which is something he's supposed to be like an expert at. Like, he just took out Tyler Reddick and himself and just gifted the win. Like, and it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And the fact that Tyler Reddick didn't get mad and he just walks up with a goofy ass smile and just shakes his hand, and I'm like, dude, do something. Like, you could even see Tyler Reddick's crew member standing behind him, like, do something. Like, you can be friends later, but in that moment, just do something. You don't have to hit him or anything like that. I'm not saying be violent, but just cuss him out, tell him he's an idiot. Just do something. Don't just shake his hand. I know they're friends and everything, but sometimes you got to tell your friends, like, dude, that was the dumbest thing I think I've seen. That's all you really had to do. That might have been, like, just walk up to Chase Briscoe when he does that goofy smile and be like, dude, that might have been the dumbest thing I've ever seen a race car driver do, and just walk away. Be like, we're still friends, and then just walk away. Feels like Ty Gibbs is about to break out. I think and I like Chase Briscoe. I'm not trying to downgrade him, but that was a dumb move. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Feels like Ty Gibbs is about to break out. Why am I still triggered about that? Who knows? I think he has multiple wins this season. Says Greg Fowler. BB, don't you think Chase Briscoe just got loose and hit some mud and accidentally hit Tyler Reddick? LOL. Yeah, I mean, if it was Dale Earnhardt Sr., I probably would have said that. So I can't say too much. Tyler Reddick backed into him. Earth 2, Paul Menard starts a team with Honda. Says like dislike. Hey, there you go. Or Fiat. Like, that was Paul Menard starts a team with Fiat Racing with Menards. If any of you are going to the Iowa race, be prepared for heat and humidity. Did register's annual great bicycle ride across Iowa, and it was 100 degrees, and the pavement was 145 degrees. So be prepared for Iowa, the heat and the humidity, much like the South. It's not the heat. It's the humidity. There you go. I've said it. Delmar Kaufman, Kyle Petty never won the All-Star. Came close, but Davey Allison got him at the line. Yep, that was the mellow yellow car. I remember that one. Let's see. I wonder if any members of the Kyle Busch pit crew will be replaced after COTA, whichever day it ends up being. Yeah. Hopefully they don't change them up. The funny thing is, Austin Dillon's pit crew is top 10 in NASCAR right now, so that's what makes it even worse for the 8 car. You worried about Hocevar's decision making yet? According to Reddick, he was trying to hook people to bring out a caution. Says Bo Darville. I don't know. I saw door bumper clear. I made a big stink about it, so I don't know. I hadn't seen. I've seen the video, but I didn't see necessarily anything egregious in that video that they shared, other than a guy that was riding around with 2 flat tires trying to get to pit road. I don't know. I didn't see where he did anything different in that particular situation than Ty Gibbs did. But I don't know. I would have to see the video of what Tyler Reddick is talking about, because obviously they didn't show it on Fox. But I do trust. I do trust Tyler Reddick's opinion. So if he was saying that, I'm sure he thought it was happening. So I'll have to look at the video on that before I make a comment on it. Documentary recommendation: the Evel Knievel documentary that Johnny Knoxville did. Crazy video. That dude was straight up crazy. Must watch. Evel Knievel was the man for sure. There's a couple. There's another Evel Knievel documentary that's really good, but I can't remember the guy who did it. Brad Keselowski is celebrating 125 years with Castro. It was literally right there at the end of Evel's life, the one I'm thinking of, but I'll check it out for sure. Brad Keselowski is celebrating 125 years with Castro. BB, do you remember the Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon fight at Texas? It wasn't much of a fight, but I do remember it. It was more like a little pushing contest between those two. But yeah, I do remember it. It was pretty funny. Come new stock Honda, they're making when they're making for NASCAR. Says Oscar. Come new stock car that Honda is making when they're making for NASCAR. See, I think they'll go with the Accord. I think they'll match the Camry, so I think it'll be the Accord. I think that's what they'll go with. Although they do have a Honda Prelude coming to the States, So maybe they'll go with that in the Xfinity Series or something, or maybe just go with the Civic in the Xfinity Series, or just go double Accord in both series. So it's been reported that Kyle Busch only signed a 2-year deal with RCR. So if it keeps going bad, do you see him leaving at the end of the year? I don't know. It just depends on what he wants to do. I feel like he's invested into the company somewhat, so it'll be interesting to see. I think he stays, but I've been wrong before. Wow, BB is actually mad and cussing. I'm not mad, but I did drop a cuss word in there, so apologies for that. The funny thing about Briscoe taking out Reddick was that the race they gave Busch his only win of the year in 2023. Otherwise, Kyle would have been winless. I forgot about that, but you're right. That was his only win that year. So kudos. Well, in that case, thank you, Chase Briscoe. From that perspective, must be hard for Kyle Busch to watch his old team bring great race cars and out crew where his new team is struggling with both. Says Dirty Def. Yeah, but if you remember the very end, man, if you remember that last year with Joe Gibbs, they were not bringing him great stuff. So I don't know. That thing is just so – the way that ended was so disappointing. I wanted Kyle Busch to stay with Toyota forever and stay in the 18 forever. Just the way that whole deal ended was massively disappointing. His whole last season was like a throwaway season. HMS Sucks says like dislike. I think Reddick didn't freak out because Briscoe got out of the car and came straight over. It's hard to be mad at someone who owns their mistakes straight away, says Bo Darville. In theory, you're right, but for me, it's not. Like, I would have stayed mad. So I got you, Bo. And like I said, I don't have hatred toward either driver, but I in that moment, I was mad. I was like, Tyler Reddick should have won that. I was so mad, dude. First 2 races were fuel saver races. This was a tire saving race. I believe Door Bumper Clear was talking about the speed that Carson maintained. Yeah, for sure. I think they were talking about he only went 27 miles per hour or something like that. And then he showed something where Ty Gibbs went 24 miles per hour or 24. He had a 24-second lap and Ty Gibbs had a 27-second lap. That's what I think that's what they were talking about. Let's see. Or he defended himself. They got into a whole thing on Twitter if you want to read it. So there you go. Kyle's crew member trying to catch a ride on the hood to the unemployment line says, I like dislike. Well, he saved him because if he hadn't backed up, the lug nut would have gone on, wouldn't have been attached. So he actually saved him. It was the guy, either the right rear or right front tire changer couldn't get the lug nut on. John Menard's net worth is $25.2 billion, according to John Garrett, according to Forbes, in 2024. Yeah, that's for sure exactly what it is. I do remember that much. I cut Carson slack because pitting under green at Bristol is different than pitting under yellow. I cut him some slack too because he had 2 pop tires. Like, I don't know what they were talking about there. I need to watch the episode, I guess. Cord and Camry are pretty close to the same car, says Mark Barnum. So there's your Door Bumper Clear plug. I've encouraged everybody to go watch the debate. So Door Bumper Clear, give me monies. Let's see. Cord and Camry are pretty close to the same car. A little bit different front end, I would say. A little bit different front end geometry. So I think the Honda would probably in race car trim look very similar to the Camry though. Now, yeah, for sure. Classic Evil telling the announcer he can't jump that far, but attempting it anyway because he signed the contract. Of course, he crashed. BB, what was the first NASCAR diecast you bought? Oh, I was a little kid. My dad bought me some. So it'd either be like a little number 15 Wrangler pullback, which was Dale Earnhardt Sr. at the time, or a number 27 Valvoline Ertel, ERTL was the name of them. They were little small diecasts. So they were like this size right here. It was either him or it might have been the 88 Darrell Waltrip Gatorade car. One of those 3 would have been the first one that I ever had, though. I think it was good. As Kyle Busch said, he has struggled with the new car, like you said. It started last year at Gibbs. Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've taken practice away. He was a big guy at improving his car after practice. So I think that has something to do with it as well. For sure. Is Lee Diffie calling Cup races a good move? I think it's a strong move. I hate to see Rick Allen go, though, because I think a lot of us have gotten attached to Rick Allen. So if that's the case, but I think Rick Allen will probably end up over there with Dale Jr. on Amazon if that's the case. Maybe it's a case where Rick Allen said, hey, I'm going over here with Junior, so go ahead and get somebody else in. We don't know. Earth 2, Ross Chastain and Bubba Wallace fight it out. Bubba accidentally lands a punch intended for Chastain that knocks Denny Hamlin out cold, says Jamie Schweitzer. Freddie on door going for clear is so full of himself, it makes me not want to watch it most of the times. I think it is his Bubba love commitment, though, says Mark Barnum. Well, he's been Bubba's spotter for a long time, so they're definitely probably like family at this point, I would say. Cassandra Keller, what's up to you, and what's up to North Idaho? Mark Barnum saying what's up. Here's the link to the Evo. I appreciate you, Dirty Death. So Dirty Death's dropping the link for the documentary. I appreciate it, man. So I will definitely check that one out. Let's see here. I can see KFB being back at Hendrick before his career ends. Bowman better get some results, says Bo Darville. That would be interesting. What did you guys learn at the track today besides the wiring gremlins? Good or bad day? We had good speed. Just don't know if it's going to be race-winning speed, and we don't know if we're going to have a race either because it's looking like rain. So there's a lot up in the air. Craig doesn't have his car. He's borrowing somebody else's car. So if he, I don't know. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I think in his mind he feels like if he doesn't have a chance to win, it's not worth risking driving the other guy's car if he gets it tore up racing for third or sixth or eighth or something like that. But if he feels like he's got a strong chance to win the race, I think he'll race. So it's a weird situation, but it's one of those short track deals. Before diecast, we did models, says Duke Chronic. I got a few of those too. So I don't know if you can see them. Let me lean the other way. So if you see that Richard Petty car right there, and right beside, not that one right there, but anyway, this Richard Petty car right here, right beside the Dale Jr. car, and there's a mellow yellow car right beside it. Those are both monogram. Well, one's a monogram model. What's the other model? The other one's the other model. I think it's an Ertel model. But those are both models too. I had a number 4 Ernie Irvin model Lumina. I've done Dale Earnhardt, and I've done a Ricky Rudd. A Davey Allison I did for my cousin. I've done a few of them. NBC booth is dropping like flies, and yet Jeff Burton still there annoying everyone, says Bo Darville. Anyone want to see Denny Hamlin drive for himself at 2311? I think there's a lot of people out there that do want to see that. If Bowman gets replaced, it'll be Carruth in the end of Bowman's current deal, says Napa Racing Fan. They've got a few people over there that could possibly replace Bowman. Hopefully they stick with Bowman, though, because I think he's done a good job there. Early prediction for COTA, hard not to say Reddick, but different package this time. May make a difference. I think for whatever reason, Dirty F, I just feel like it's going to be a Ford, because I feel like the way they've got those fenders up is going to be to their benefit, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like that's going to be to their benefit on road courses. So that's the reason I'm leaning toward that. Listen to McCall talk Brad K through the race. That was impressive, says Brickyard Brickhead. Yeah, a lot of times just listening to a spotter talk or a crew chief and a driver talk is a cool deal to listen to. You can actually learn a lot as a driver listening to other drivers, crew chiefs, and spotters talking to each other. Believe it or not, I still build models. I don't have any diecast, says William Wagaman. As long as he is driving the car into the wall, Barkley, says Mark Barnum. Elliott will surprise many by getting the pole at COTA. Yeah, for sure. Project's coming along. They're coming along slowly. It's race season now, so it's going to be even slower than normal. But I do have the script written out, and I need to record it and listen to it to make sure it sounds proper. But I do have the script written out for at least one of them. Denny Pete again. Dale called. Denny's interior guy. He sounded the one about the Winston Cup Museum is the one I'm working on now. Denny Pete again. Dale called. Denny's interior guy. He sounded pissed. Says like Hamlin probably resigns and drives for himself. Says one wise guy, Cole William. I bought the 1988 Goodwrench Monte Carlo. It was like $50 in the late 90s. That was a good one too. I wish I'd gotten a chance to do a Monte Carlo. They were all by the time I was old enough to do them, they were all Luminas. Probably the really best looking one was like Terry Labonte's Lumina. I like that Budweiser Lumina. That was a good looking one. My top 5. They still make them, by the way. You can get the COT, not Car Tomorrow, but you can get the the next gen, they make those. I've seen those advertised. I think they're like 30 or $40. They've got them at Walmart too as well. My top 5 for COTA are Reddick, SVG, Allmendinger, Chastain, and Byron. That's not a bad top 5. I like it. I like what you're thinking there. Chevy showing a lack of speed with 0 poles so far this season. Yeah, it seems like they're setting up for long runs. If I had to guess, BB was Chad Little a good NASCAR driver? I don't know about a good NASCAR driver, but I do think he was actually probably a pretty good driver. I would throw Wally Dallenbach in there too. I think Wally Dallenbach was pretty good. I never got to show what he could do. Former Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams signed with the Jets. Hey, so there you go. NFL free agent season is in full effect, and that looks like we have gotten to the end of the comments. So I'm going to end this one here. And I'll check you guys on the next one, which will be Sunday pre-race. So until then, peace. Keep tire fall off and have more tires won at 53%, but I'm going to close it out to keep with tradition.